Trapped in an ice sky as the antagonist's sidekick, I woke up to find divorce papers waiting for me. Alfred, he's back. Sign the papers and leave before he sees you, I heard a voice say. I glanced at the figures on the check and immediately understood. My wife's long-lost love had returned, and she wanted me out of the picture. Without hesitation, I signed. Who'd want to be a stand-in anyway? Ding! StoryShots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. The divorce papers were signed, with a month-long cooling-off period remaining. I lay on the spacious bed in my mansion, my emotions in turmoil. Finding myself transported into a novel as the antagonist's sidekick, I quickly adapted to life here. In the original story, the sidekick, Naomi, was obsessed with the female lead, my ex-wife, constantly causing trouble and eventually kidnapping her to threaten the male lead. He ended up blown to bits. Thinking about this, I clutched my credit card and sighed in relief as I checked the balance on my phone. There are plenty of fish in the sea. With money and property, who's afraid of not finding a wife? Why on earth would anyone want to go against the male lead? I, Alfred Sheffield, am a normal, level-headed man. I would never do such a thing. Having signed the papers, I'll take things slow. Life goes on. Just as I was about to sleep, my phone rang. The contact name read wife. Agatha calling? Surely she hasn't changed her mind? I've barely had time to warm the money in my hands. Upon answering, a cool voice came through. Alfred, come and collect your things. Arthur won't be pleased if he sees them. I almost blurted out, then just throw them away. But on second thought, I decided against it. Might as well take them. Agatha may be a bit cold, but she's quite generous. The things she bought for me are quite valuable. I cleared my throat and said, all right, I'll be right over. Fearing she might change her mind, I hung up and headed straight there. When I arrived at the mansion, I was surprised to find Agatha there as well. She was wearing an expensive black suit dress, barefoot, with light pink nail polish on her toes. Her legs were long and slender, casually leaning against the sofa. Her gaze was deep, her makeup impeccable, exuding an air of languid elegance. This Agatha was stunningly beautiful and noble. In the book, Alfred's grandfather had saved Agatha's father, which was why they were able to marry. Otherwise, how could a modest family like the Sheffields ever hope to marry into the Quiller family? I shook my head. Never mind. Let's just pack up the things. I went up to the bedroom on the second floor and opened the door to a cold, empty room. The wardrobe was full of designer clothes for all seasons, some even with tags still attached. What a windfall! I set aside the new clothes separately. They could fetch a good price later. The rest I could wear daily, saving a fortune on clothing expenses. In the drawers were over a dozen watches, diamond cufflinks, and other odds and ends. Though I'm no expert, even I could tell by the logos that they weren't cheap. I packed all the clothes and accessories into boxes, 8 in total. Just as I was about to leave, I felt a strange tightness in my chest. Involuntarily, I sat on the edge of the bed and, as if possessed, bent down to pull out a cardboard box from underneath. Opening it, I found a diary and a photo album. What's this? January 1st. Agatha Quiller. I finally met her today. Father says she's my fiancée. I never imagined she'd be so beautiful. I think I've fallen for her. January 5th. The Quillers all look down on me. Agatha talked to me, saying we'd only be husband and wife in name. It hurt, but I agreed. As long as I can see her, it's enough. March 11th. We got married. Agatha set the date, saying it coincided with her company's 10th anniversary, so we held both celebrations together. I had no objections. March 12th. Agatha gave me an agreement to sign. It stated that when he returns, I must leave. I didn't want to sign, but faced with her gaze, I gave in. Inside were all the little moments Alfred Sheffield had recorded about him and Agatha Quiller. After reading it, I felt uneasy. What was this? A living, breathing substitute for a doormat. Agatha Quiller always had a cold face, yet Alfred Sheffield managed to stay with her for 3 years. Now that the real deal was back, he was ready to fade away and exit. He must have died from anger, and conveniently, I found myself in his shoes. I shook my head, put the diary back, and glanced at the photo album again. When I opened it, I was stunned. It was all Agatha Quiller. Sitting, standing, scolding people, sleeping. All of it, this Alfred Sheffield truly loved her. I thought he was just a jealous psycho. Unexpectedly, he loved her to his core. There were notes beside the album, detailing all of Agatha's preferences, no matter how small. But then again, Agatha Quiller was beautiful and rich. Who wouldn't like her? However, one should know their limits and quit while they're ahead. I packed everything up and called a moving van. Just as I went downstairs, I saw a man getting out of a car. He was about 6 feet tall, with a clean, pale face, glasses perched on his nose, and a slim build. He looked somewhat melancholic and rather pale. His features were somewhat similar to mine, though I was much healthier and more vibrant. "Are you Alfred Sheffield? Thank you for taking care of Agatha these past few years." I understood then, this was Arthur Caldwell, the male lead. I smiled without mirth. "No need to thank me. Agatha and I took care of each other. That's what married couples do." His face visibly darkened. I laughed inwardly. Agatha and I hadn't even gotten our divorce certificate yet, and this man was already showing up at our door. I was about to speak when I heard Agatha's surprised exclamation from behind me. "Arthur, why are you here?" Like a gust of wind, she rushed past me straight into Arthur's arms. She turned to look at me. "Why haven't you left yet?" Her gaze was cold and sharp. I couldn't help but sneer. "Agatha Quiller? Getting impatient, are we? If you won't think of yourself, at least think of the company. If someone sees or photographs this, Mr. Caldwell will be labeled as the other man. After all, we haven't got our divorce certificate yet." Agatha's face turned ugly, while Arthur frowned, his eyes dark. I wasn't afraid at all and met their gaze. Agatha looked displeased. "Alfred, you promised." "Yes, I did promise, but I have my pride too. If you want a divorce, just wait patiently." I wasn't that doormat, especially after seeing them embrace right in front of me. Even the most patient person couldn't tolerate this. Before Agatha could speak, Arthur pulled her close and said, "You've misunderstood. Agatha and I haven't seen each other in 3 years. Today, I'm just taking her to catch up with some friends. If you'd like, why don't you join us?" The friends of the main characters were surely from the upper echelons of society. There's no point in forcing myself where I don't belong. No need, I have things to do. But let me remind you of something. I pointed at Arthur. Men and women should maintain proper boundaries. Your circle can be quite messy, so be careful. After saying this, I looked at Agatha. She should understand my meaning. She took a step back, keeping her distance from Arthur. Arthur's face turned black in an instant. He looked at me, his eyes full of frost. I snorted coldly and headed straight for my villa with the moving van. This villa was left to me by Agatha. With these clothes and accessories, the future wouldn't be too difficult. I sold all the new clothes to a second-hand shop at 80% of their original price, earning £30,000. I did the same with the remaining accessories, and my bank balance was replenished once again. Having so much money after a divorce, I could take it easy. However, work still needed to be done. The original me worked at the Quiller Group. Now that we're divorcing, should I continue or resign? If I don't resign and she fires me, I could get a nice severance package. Since I've already found myself in this story, there's no way I'm going to suffer. I might as well focus on making money. But the male lead's halo was more powerful than I thought. Overnight, Twitter exploded. Agatha Quiller called me early in the morning, shouting, "Alfred Sheffield, did you do this on purpose?" I was stunned. Taking a moment to respond, "What are you talking about? Yesterday, was it intentional? If I find out you're behind this, you know the consequences." Before I could reply, she hung up. I stared at my phone in confusion, then saw the notifications and finally understood. Someone had taken photos of me moving house, with Agatha and Arthur Caldwell visible in the background. I don't know which paparazzi managed to get such clear shots. Quiller Group's beautiful CEO divorces. Suspected former flame, the other woman. Agatha was the Quiller family's most promising heir, and our marriage was merely a formality. Not many outsiders knew, but everyone in our circle was aware. Who knows which fool tipped off the paparazzi? Now Arthur was in the crosshairs and I was caught in the crossfire. After some thought, I tried calling Agatha back, but the line was busy. Left with no choice, I sent her a message. I didn't want to complicate things further. Agatha didn't reply, but the online narrative started to shift. Arthur and Agatha were university sweethearts, the model couple at Alfred. That man is the real homewrecker. My aunt's cousin is a housekeeper for the Quillers. She says Alfred was forced to marry Agatha by his family. Why else would there be no wedding? He left 3 years ago because he had no choice. He had a car accident and couldn't make it back. Exactly, how could Arthur possibly be the other man? Turns out he was set up. Alfred is disgusting. Has Agatha finally gotten rid of this scoundrel? It's about time. Arthur had become the devoted lover, while I was painted as the villain who would stop at nothing to get what I wanted. The occasional comment defending me was quickly drowned out by a barrage of insults, forcing the users to delete their accounts. I was seething inside, the pot calling the kettle black. If he was so devoted, where was he 3 years ago? A car accident doesn't mean you're dead. Couldn't he make a phone call? Now he's playing the role of the devoted lover. Agatha hadn't replied to me. I clenched my fists, determined to resolve this issue. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to divorce her. Before I could reach out to Agatha, the Sheffields came knocking at my door. I was about to have dinner when the front door was pounded so hard it shook. Who could be causing such a ruckus at this hour? I opened the door to find a middle-aged couple glaring at me angrily. My heart skipped a beat, a strange feeling stirring inside me. Alfred Sheffield, you've really done it this time. How dare you move out? Where's Miss Quiller? What are you standing there for? Your mother and I have been looking everywhere for you. And here you are, having dinner. So these were Alfred's parents. Come to think of it, in the original story, Alfred's parents only used him. If they had shown him more affection, Alfred might not have felt so resentful and eventually taken such a drastic path. But now I was Alfred, and I certainly wouldn't let them have their way. I sat at the table and continued eating. The woman in front of me slammed her hand on the table. How can you eat at a time like this? What else should I do? If you have something to say, say it. If you've come here just to berate me, don't bother. I'm not interested in listening. As soon as I finished speaking, she exploded. Listen here, Alfred. This mess is your doing, and if you don't apologize, I won't let you off the hook. That's right, son. The Quillers have cut off our supply. You know your brother's small company relies on the Quillers. Now with this scandal, we can't show our faces in public. They went back and forth and I felt utterly disappointed. So they couldn't survive without me saving the day. I didn't cause this. Agatha wants a divorce. Don't pry into it. She won't change her mind anyway. Finish your meal and leave. Soon enough, you won't even be able to keep this flat. Hearing this, they were both dumbfounded, then immediately flew into a rage. Alfred Sheffield, we have the marriage certificate from when you got married. If the Quillers want a divorce, we'll release the certificate and see how she manages to leave then. Marriage certificate? I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. They still have those things? Have you seen the comments online? Do you think a marriage certificate will make any difference when Arthur Caldwell has gone from being a homewrecker to a true love? Believe me, if you release that marriage certificate, it won't just be me who disappears overnight. You might vanish from this world too. I advise you to keep your heads down and stay out of trouble. My words weren't just empty threats. The Quiller Group's influence in this city far surpassed what our family could match. After hearing this, my parents looked a bit frightened. They glanced at me, then silently lowered their heads and continued eating. The living room fell quiet for a moment. After finishing dinner, I saw them out. Looking back at the mansion, I had some thoughts. I couldn't keep this house either, or there would be more trouble later. I called an estate agent to put the mansion up for sale. Looking at the cold, empty home, I thought of Agatha Quiller. She still hadn't replied to me. Meanwhile, My phone was constantly bombarded with abusive text messages and harassing calls. I didn't want to deal with it, but after seeing my parents off, as I sat at home sorting through documents, there was another commotion outside. I looked out to see some crazed fan had found my address and was trying to throw paint at my house. Thankfully, security caught them and sent them to the police station. I stood at the door watching as the woman screamed like a lunatic, "Alfred Sheffield, you'll come to no good end." I couldn't take it anymore and called Agatha Quiller directly. After ringing for over a dozen times, she finally answered. Her icy voice came through. "Are you done making a scene? Arthur is here representing the Caldwell Group this time. They have a partnership with our family. If we can't keep things stable." I impatiently cut her off. "Agatha Quiller, your plans have nothing to do with me. But let me remind you, during the divorce cooling-off period, as long as I don't go sign the papers, this marriage can't be dissolved. If you continue to let them smear my name, don't blame me for not giving anyone face. I'm giving you 1 day to deal with all the comments online. If you don't clarify things, I won't mind doing it for you." I hung up immediately. Damn it, I have my limits too. Smearing my name. Even if I'm an Ice Guy character, they can't treat me like this. Moreover, they know perfectly well who the real homewrecker is. I don't know if my threats scared her, but Agatha Quiller quickly took action. She only posted one sentence on Twitter: "Please don't engage in cyberbullying." This led to netizens praising her beauty and kindness, once again pushing me into the eye of the storm. Well played, Agatha Quiller. I asked my parents to give me the marriage certificate, buying them out for £300,000. Pained me to spend this money, but I had no choice. I'd add this to Agatha Quiller's tab. With the marriage certificate in hand, I saw it was personally written by old Mr. Quiller, with his signet ring seal on it. "I'm sorry, old man. You've passed away and I still have to drag you out as a shield. But who told them to bully me so much? However, now is not the time. Let's wait and see how things unfold." Perhaps thinking he had victory in the bag, Arthur Caldwell came at this moment, accompanied by an estate agent. After not seeing him for a while, Arthur's aura had changed again. He was haughty and imposing, his eyes full of sharpness. "I'm buying this house," he said in a tone that brooked no refusal. I chuckled lightly. "My, aren't you loaded? I'm offering 30% above your asking price. I don't want any of Agatha's things falling into your hands. After you sell the house, please leave this city." If he hadn't said anything, it might have been fine. But now that he had, I really wasn't going to cooperate. "I'm not selling it to you." As expected, Arthur Caldwell frowned slightly upon hearing this and made a gesture. I knew that whenever he made this gesture, it meant he was determined to succeed. I shook my finger. "Arthur, no discussion. If you want to buy the house, tell Agatha to come. Otherwise, forget it." Arthur's gaze turned cold, a chill emanating from his entire being, frightening the estate agent into silence. "Alfred, you really think I won't touch you? Arthur, were you really in a car accident abroad that prevented you from attending the wedding?" Hearing this, Arthur's face suddenly showed alarm. I couldn't help but wave my phone. "I know all about your schedules that others don't. If you don't want to provoke me into a lose-lose situation, it's best not to appear before me. Get lost." Arthur gritted his teeth, glaring at me resentfully before finally leaving. This guy really thought I was a pushover. I don't mind Agatha divorcing me, but I won't let her fight me for property. The vast Quiller Group settling me with just £3 million and a mansion I agreed before for the money's sake. Now they want to take back the mansion? Sorry, I won't agree. Moreover, the diary records that this mansion was where Alfred first met Agatha. The back garden is full of roses that Alfred planted himself. This place holds immense significance for Alfred. I've taken over his body, and I deeply feel the tremendous trembling at the thought of losing the mansion. Arthur wants the mansion precisely because of the rose garden. He knows Alfred's feelings for Agatha, and he won't allow anyone to covet it. So he wants to destroy it. In fact, Arthur was even more ruthless than I thought. When the deal fell through, he simply set it on fire. By the time I realized something was wrong, Thick smoke had already spread into the room. Fortunately, the security guards discovered it in time to put out the fire. I had already passed out by the time I was rescued. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Agatha was at my bedside. Seeing me awake, she said coldly, "You're fine now, so I'll be leaving." I grabbed her wrist. "Agatha, he did it." We both knew who this he referred to. Agatha shook off my hand. "Alfred, I never thought you would frame Arthur by setting the fire." "Frame him?" I laughed bitterly. "Think what you want, just don't regret it later." Agatha's face darkened as she stormed out, slamming the door. I wondered, is this really the female lead? How can someone so brainless be the protagonist? She's forcing me to reveal the evidence and utterly humiliate her. A day passed, and Agatha's side started to take action, removing the trending topic on Twitter. I knew this was just on the surface. In reality, the Quiller family had already begun to be dissatisfied with her. Marrying me was just to stabilize the situation. Divorcing now was certainly not a good idea. I found Agatha's cousin, Crispin Quiller. He swirled his wine glass, looking at me with an ambiguous smile. "Alfred, I underestimated you." The Quiller family looked down on me, but even an ant can have its day. I pushed a stack of documents towards him. "If you want to win, it's up to you now." Crispin opened the envelope and his eyes lit up after just a glance. "Reliable." Of course, these 3 years by Agatha's side, I wasn't just warming her bed. I investigated everything that needed to be investigated. Knowing she had someone else in her heart, Alfred still couldn't help but be jealous of that man despite receiving the young lady's favor. He used all his connections to investigate Arthur, and coincidentally died, leaving me with the information. I didn't want to do this, but unfortunately Arthur wouldn't let me go. Sheffield Limited is already on the brink of bankruptcy, and I'm next. Crispin raised an eyebrow. "Indeed, you show sincerity. But can Agatha really fall? Arthur is still there. Don't worry, he won't last long. Leave that to me." Crispin Quiller looked at me with a smile, and we raised our glasses to drink together. Originally, I had planned to take the money and step back, but Agatha Quiller was blinded by love, insisting on protecting Arthur Caldwell. She even nearly burned me alive. Well, she shouldn't blame me for fighting back now. After leaving the private club, I organized everything that had happened recently. I simply posted a wedding photo and our marriage certificate on Twitter, which instantly blew up the trending topics again. Netizens flooded to my Twitter. "Bloody hell, weren't you the one who forced the marriage? Still not divorced? Does that mean Arthur Caldwell is the homewrecker? My Arthur would never be a homewrecker. You're clearly trying to clear your name. What a mess in your circles. I'm just here for the drama." Regardless of whether his feelings are genuine, Agatha Quiller and Alfred Sheffield aren't divorced yet. Agatha Quiller is having an affair. Recently, Arthur Caldwell and Agatha Quiller have been inseparable, appearing together at both public events and private gatherings. They've been photographed in numerous scenes together. Not to mention how intimate they act every time they appear. Arthur Caldwell always has this possessive look, as if saying, "She's my woman." His obsessed fans have even edited quite a few videos of them. The scenes are absolutely beautiful, directly nailing Arthur Caldwell and Agatha to the pillory of shame. My marriage with Agatha Quiller was an arranged marriage by our parents. There was no forced marriage. It was entirely the Quiller group who approached us. The marriage certificate is solid proof. Some netizens questioned why we didn't have a wedding ceremony, but then an anonymous user posted photos of our wedding venue. Although it was held together with the company's anniversary celebration, all the necessary procedures were there. I don't know who this helpful netizen is, but they did a brilliant job. As the online buzz grew louder, Agatha Quiller couldn't sit still anymore. She called me frantically, but I didn't answer, so she came to find me in person. With my mansion burned down, I had to stay in a hotel. Agatha Quiller barged in while I was soaking in the bathtub. She immediately turned her back when she came in, trembling with anger. "Alfred, stop talking nonsense. Clear your Twitter." I clicked my tongue. "You lot slandered me online before. Arthur Caldwell sent people to burn down my mansion, and now you want to silence me? Agatha Quiller, you're not sincere at all. If you're asking for a favor, you should have the right attitude. Agatha Quiller took a deep breath. I'll give you £5 million. You clarify that you forced the marriage back then, and Arthur isn't a homewrecker. She really dares to say anything for Arthur Caldwell. Agatha Quiller, don't you get it? You're in no position to make demands now. As long as I don't agree, no one will have it easy. You don't care about Sheffield Limited going bankrupt? I got out of the bathtub, put on my clothes, stood behind her, and wrapped my arms around her, whispering in her ear. Sheffield Limited? Why should I give a damn? She shuddered, never expecting I could say such words. I tightly held her waist and sneered in her ear. Agatha Quiller, it's not too late to regret now. Why don't you break up with Arthur Caldwell and we can get back together? I deliberately tested her, also giving her one last chance. Agatha Quiller suddenly pushed me away, glaring at me fiercely. Dream on. Arthur won't let you off. All right then. I'd like to see what other tricks your Arthur Caldwell has up his sleeve. You should leave now. We're almost divorced, yet you still want to peek at me bathing? It wouldn't be good if Arthur misunderstands. Agatha Quiller stormed off in a huff. I couldn't help but smile, taking out my phone to send a message. It's time to reel them in. Agatha Quiller couldn't deny that whenever Arthur Caldwell opened his mouth on Twitter, he was immediately torn to shreds by critics. He tried to do a live stream to explain himself, but was quickly overwhelmed by users flooding in to teach him a lesson. Some even zoomed in on his face, demanding to know if he had interfered in our marriage. The marriage certificate was an indisputable fact. No matter how Arthur tried to explain, he couldn't change it, so he simply stopped talking. The more he kept quiet, the more guilty he appeared. I also took the opportunity to release some scandalous videos of Arthur from his time abroad. This fellow certainly wasn't saving himself for Agatha Quiller. Overseas, he was living it up with women on both arms. I made sure to send these to Agatha Quiller, hoping they could have a calm discussion about it. Crispin Quiller was in high spirits when we were drinking together. You know, Agatha may seem tough on the outside, but she's actually quite particular. I bet you two have only been intimate a handful of times, he said. But with Arthur, it was like fireworks. Who would have thought Arthur was such a player? I couldn't help but laugh. In the Ice Guy stories, Arthur was always the dashing CEO hero with countless women throwing themselves at him. How could he possibly save himself for Agatha Quiller? To him, as long as he didn't get married, all those women were just passing fancies, mere playthings. Crispin Quiller tapped the table. When do you plan to divorce? There's only a week left until the deadline. You need to act quickly. Crispin understood and promptly dropped another bombshell. It was a video and photos from 3 years ago, on the day of the wedding, showing Arthur in a hospital abroad. On the wedding day, Agatha had called Arthur, even saying she would run away with him if he came. Unfortunately, Arthur was too busy partying with women at a hotel and ended up in the hospital. To make Agatha believe him, he even used a car accident as an excuse. Now the truth was out. The image of the devoted lover had crumbled. Agatha was shaking with anger, having a huge row with Arthur that was caught on camera by the paparazzi. Seeing Arthur grabbing Agatha by the throat in the footage, her face shocked and hurt, I felt no sympathy. Instead, I opened a bottle of red wine. The tables have turned. Agatha, can you see clearly now? This is your so-called soulmate. No dashing CEO hero, no love born from time spent together. It was nothing more than lust at first sight. Arthur is no gentle supporting character. In his world, women are mere accessories to men. Even though Agatha was groomed as an heiress, deep down she's still just a little woman to him. She couldn't accept Arthur's betrayal, and Arthur couldn't accept Agatha's domineering nature. With neither willing to back down or say a kind word, their relationship was doomed. When I saw Agatha, she was soaked to the bone, wrapped in her coat and standing dampily at the door. When she saw me, she flung herself at me. I took 2 steps back, and Agatha missed, her face full of hurt. Alfred, I've been deceived by him. Are you rejecting me too? In just a few days, Agatha seemed to have aged a decade. Once cold as ice and stunningly beautiful, now her makeup was ruined and she was drenched. It was raining outside, and she had barged in like this. Who knows how many people had seen her? But I didn't care. Agatha, I'm not a rubbish bin. What, you're having regrets now? My words stunned her. Alfred, we're still married. Why are you being like this? Married? That's rich. You've seen Arthur's true colors and now you're crawling back to me? Disgusting. Agatha looked at me in disbelief. She knew that in the past, no matter what she did, I would always forgive her. Especially seeing her in such a sorry state, I would certainly have felt heartbroken. But I'm not the real Alfred Sheffield. Seeing her act this way, I only felt she got what she deserved. Agatha Quiller clearly couldn't accept this version of me. She quickly grabbed my hand. Alfred, I was wrong. I misjudged you. Can you forgive me? I remained expressionless. Just because you were wrong, I should forgive you? Agatha, no one waits around forever. Alfred, are you leaving me? You said you'd love me no matter what. I shook my finger. If you had said this to me a month ago, I would have told you that I still loved you. But now I find it disgusting. Agatha stumbled back a couple of steps, her lips quivering as she looked at me. I didn't. Are you trying to tell me you didn't sleep with that man? Emotional cheating is still cheating. I don't care how you try to explain yourself, but as far as I'm concerned, I pointed to my chest. There's no room for you here anymore. That's impossible. Agatha lunged at me frantically, her hands gripping my arms tightly. I winced in pain, furrowing my brow as I looked at her. Why bother? It can't be, it can't be. I don't believe we've missed our chance. Alfred, you still love me, don't you? I'll change. Don't be silly. Just go. I pushed her out, handing her the diary and photo album from before. Let's part ways amicably. Remember to come to the court the day after tomorrow, or I'll release even more damaging information. Agatha took the items, glanced at them briefly, and immediately burst into tears. I closed the door, my face expressionless. This woman might be beautiful, but she's foolish, clueless, and wicked. I certainly don't want her. 2 days later, Agatha appeared at the court entrance right on time, looking visibly haggard. She still wanted to make a final attempt with me. Alfred, can we not get divorced? I'm sorry, but no. I rejected her without hesitation. Her face immediately darkened. I smiled, patted her shoulder, and went inside. 10 minutes later, I emerged with the bright red divorce certificate in hand. I let out a long sigh of relief, waved at her, and turned to leave. Agatha grabbed me. We can start over. No one waits around forever. I could clearly feel the soul in my body tremble, and then resign itself. It seemed the real Alfred had finally seen things clearly and given up. Agatha didn't want to let go, but how could I allow myself to be entangled with that woman any longer? Next, I posted the divorce certificate online, once again pushing myself and her into the trending topics on Twitter. Netizens flooded in with comments. Blimey, we've got a follow-up. Mate, you really got divorced. Congrats on finally getting rid of that cheating woman. Mate, I apologize for criticizing you before. Hey, how much money did you get from divorcing Agatha? Can you share? The netizens really cared about me. Among them were quite a few bots trying to frame me, wondering how much I'd benefited from the Quiller group. I smiled. The fire investigation report from the fire brigade clearly proved that my house had been deliberately set on fire. The arsonist had been caught and was currently on trial. I couldn't say much, so I just posted a picture of my charred black house, telling them I was now homeless. People started discussing it, and Arthur Caldwell was pushed into the spotlight. Anyone with eyes could see that he was connected to this fire. This bloke is truly wicked, resorting to such measures when he can't have her. Punish the culprit severely. I wonder what Agatha was thinking, fancying Arthur Caldwell. I used to think Arthur was quite handsome, but now he just seems sleazy. That rotten cucumber can go to Agatha. I suggest locking up the cheating man and the vile woman together. Arthur's reputation took another nosedive. Crispin Quiller also began to make his move at the right time. Agatha Quiller was held accountable by the board of directors due to her divorce, and all the projects she was responsible for collapsed to varying degrees. Crispin Quiller seized the opportunity, swallowing up her shares and, using the excuse of negative public image, joined forces with other directors to remove her from her position. Agatha Quiller fell from grace completely, unable to fight back. A former servant from the old Quiller estate secretly informed me that Agatha had started selling her properties. The amount she owed was too large, and the board of directors required her to be financially responsible. It seemed she would have to sell quite a few houses this time. I was relieved that I had divorced her, otherwise, I would have had to bear half of this debt. Things weren't going well for Arthur Caldwell either. He had returned from abroad, hoping to elevate Caldwell Group to new heights by reconciling with Agatha Quiller. However, this attempt backfired spectacularly. Caldwell Group's property company was exposed for using substandard materials, which injured workers. It wasn't a major issue initially and could have been resolved with compensation. Unfortunately, Arthur Caldwell, accustomed to his lofty position, had his bodyguards assault the protesters when confronted. By chance, a journalist captured the incident on camera. It coincided with the city's new construction and promotional video shooting, catching the attention of higher-ups who demanded severe punishment. Caldwell Group's reputation plummeted overnight. Arthur Caldwell was arrested. It was reported that during his arrest he still put on airs, claiming to be the CEO of Caldwell Group and demanding his lawyer severely punish those behind the scenes. I took the opportunity to spend a little money to make him trend on Twitter. Arthur Caldwell became the target of public outrage, with legal experts educating him on the law. I shook my head. As the dominant male lead in the original novel, he could act recklessly under the author's pen, with his illegal actions overlooked. However, under my influence, this world began to normalize gradually, everything falling into place. Arthur Caldwell spent a fortune to get out, paying over £200,000 in compensation to the injured and having to demolish and rebuild the already constructed building. This was another significant expense, and the property owners of that building gathered voluntarily to supervise the construction daily, ready to report to the police at the slightest mistake. Arthur Caldwell was miserable. Seeing this, I smiled. My phone buzzed with a transfer notification. Crispin Quiller had transferred £100 million to me, the stake I had demanded when we collaborated initially. With the money, I bought myself a large penthouse and started taking on freelance work, living a simple yet fulfilling life. The next time I heard news about them was half a year later. Caldwell Group had gone bankrupt. Seeing the male lead fall from grace over these 6 months, I was startled, realizing that my presence had caused the original novel's world to collapse. I felt afraid. Would I be erased because of the fall of the male and female leads? I lived in trepidation for those 6 months, but finding no impact, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. After Arthur Caldwell's bankruptcy, there was no more news of him and I didn't care. When Crispin Quiller invited me out for dinner, we happened to encounter Agatha Quiller. She wore a sour expression, startled upon seeing me, then quickly realized the situation. "You two actually worked together to con me," she exclaimed. Crispin Quiller shrugged. "You have to accept the consequences. It's your own fault for playing a good hand so poorly." I smiled. Agatha Quiller seemed unwilling to accept this reality and rushed up to question me. "Alfred Sheffield, how dare you?" I glanced at her and snapped my fingers. A waiter immediately approached. "How may I help you, sir?" I pointed at Agatha Quiller. "I thought this restaurant was members only. Why is she allowed in?" Agatha Quiller was stunned. The man beside her quickly appeared, bowing to Crispin Quiller and me. "I'm sorry, we were just passing by for a meal. We didn't mean to disturb you." He pulled at Agatha Quiller. "Let's go, quickly." Agatha Quiller shook him off. "Who do you think you are to order me around?" The man slapped her without hesitation. "Do you still think you're a precious lady? Come with me now, or you'll regret it later." Agatha Quiller, unaccustomed to such treatment, started arguing with him on the spot. They were promptly escorted out by the waiters. Watching her leave, I smiled and asked, "Did you sell her off?" Crispin Quiller shrugged. "A woman without brains. Her final value is in an arranged marriage. That man is a downstream supplier. With him, we can reduce costs by 20%. I shrugged. That made sense. Although Agatha Quiller wasn't very bright, her appearance was still quite good. Even though she was a woman I once loved, seeing her in such a miserable state now didn't move me at all. She had brought this upon herself. Crispin Quiller and I exchanged smiles. With money and a home, I was content with this life. Good riddance to that toxic woman.